McCole kind of gave up some yards early in the game on the punt returns by letting them bounce.
Yeah.
Were you at all tempted to, before the big one,
No. Just talked to him on the sideline about it. Particularly I guess it was the third to last one where we had big field. We had defense stay out there, and he bombed one. He just stayed on the 20 instead of going back and getting it. We talked about that one. And then the funny thing was the long one that he got was the same exact punt. So he went and got that one, and then obviously it paid off. So
There could be a little rust in that, right? Because you just haven't done it as well.
yeah, that's why I'm chalking it up to. I mean, he's it's good to have him back. He's got a lot of juice out there. He's got some, obviously a little bit more speed than we've had, and he's got a lot of experience back there. But he hadn't been doing it. I mean, he's probably done it in practice at the Jets. I mean, he told me he did, but we haven't seen it. But he got better as the game went on, got used to it a little bit more, seeing how we're blocking people up, and obviously it was a big return for us and a good time.
what about Tony in that role?
Yeah, Tony he's a guy that practices and does it, and
Well, why not? I mean, what?
why not?
Yeah.
I just think that Andy wants to keep him, on the offensive side. He wants him, he's a specialty guy for him, and that's, I mean, he's a guy that he's our next guy that goes, obviously, and then Sky Moore's in the mix too, but.
In baseball, not everybody judges the fly ball well, right? You're taking that straight line route that you want as opposed to some banana route or something. Bigger ball.
Yeah, you got to read the ball and everything.
Yeah, a little bit easier in football, but still the same kind of thing, right? Some guys are better than others at getting a quick read and a jump.
Yeah,
ball,
no
right?
question. I mean, you could always tell if a guy's a good reader or not if he's moving late to catch it. If he's sitting there and the ball's chasing, I say the ball should be chasing you, like you anticipate where the ball's going to be. And football never just comes straight down. It's it's always moving, so you have to read the ball, and there's a lot to it. That's why punt return's so hard. It's so tough. It's hard.
Hey, Dave, a couple guys mentioned it was a safe punt. Just how impressive it for McCole to return it so far when you guys,
It's impressive because we put our defense out there a lot because of what's happening to us. I mean, fourth and 4, 3, we're going to have defense stay out there from now on. Because teams run fakes on us, and so. But the thing is, they're not only stopping the fake, now they're getting better at the return part. They're blocking guys up, and they did a really great job. I mean, all those guys, Karloftis and Dickerson, and all the guys that were out there, Dana and Noddy, they all did. They're big guys running down the field, making blocks for you. So, I mean, it's impressive.
Do you see some enjoyment from some of these defensive guys?
Yeah, it is. It's it's special because you see a lot of teams they have defense stay and they just all their job is to make them punt. They punt and they see them walking off the field even before the ball's even caught sometimes. But the play's not over. And we emphasized it and we keep working on it, and they take pride in it, and it really paid off in that game.
Harrison's sick today. Is this Justin's day then?
Yeah, it is.
He'll be working throughout.
He's gonna work practice today, Justin. So our backup plan. Because, yeah.
With Nick Bolton going down, how is that going to shuffle some special team linebackers?
Yeah, we'll have to make a decision. We've got some ideas out there what we're going to do. Obviously we'll make that decision as the week goes on. But yeah, we're going to have to do something there. In the linebacker area, or possibly bring up a safety. But that guy's going to help me. He's going to be a special teams guy because what happens is Tranquil was helping me. Now he's going to be strictly on defense. And now I have to get his position replaced.
What is it about the linebackers and safeties that kind of
it's the speed, it's the it's the ability to block in space, agility. The D linemen, I mean, they're good straight ahead guys. I mean, but then I just got done telling you how good they are in the blocking too. But that's what you want. You want guys that are fast and that can move in space and block and tackle in space.
Coach, on the catching the punt subject again, I know McColl's not bad at it, or he wouldn't be back there, right? But is that part of his game that he needs to get a little better?
I mean, now that he is the guy, he's going to get all the reps. So he's going to be, emphasized, in practices and, from this point forward. Now he's a good catcher. Is he the best catcher in the world? No, but he's a good catcher, and and he's smart enough to know if he's out of position, he just let the damn thing go. You know what I mean? So, but certain times you got to go back and get it. When they overkick your coverage, when they outkick your coverage, you're running away from the coverage. You got to go get it.
A little scouting report maybe on Denver, and if there's anything different when you've seen them so close.
Well, we just played them, obviously. I mean, so that that's a benefit for us. As far as personnel, we know, what they are. Sometimes when you don't play a team for a long time, it's different personnel. So now we know them that way. We know that Mims is a great returner. I mean, that's the longest return that we gave up on our punt team was against him. So we know that. We see it. We see him has talent. We see that he has talent on the kick return game too. He can get outside. So, they're a good unit. They're playing very hard right now under Westhoff and Ben Kotwicka. So, we have to deal with that.
And weather could be a little dicey out
No,
there.
no question.
You
Yeah.
look at the weather forecast a lot. What do you see?
Yeah, we watch it all week. Obviously, we know. I mean, it started off high of 35, then as it's been going now, it's like mid-20s. They say for kickoff. So that affects us. I mean, it's the altitude's going to help hang the ball up, but then it's going to be negated by the cold weather. So it'll probably be back to normal. I mean, in my mind, that's what I've been telling the guys that. That extra 5 yards you get for the altitude, with the cold weather, gone. So, we got to look to possibly get more returns, kick returns for us and for them. So, those are all factors.
Would you be comfortable going into a game with Justin as your kicker, or if Harrison was going to be out, would you want another guy?
If he was going to be out for a long time, if we knew that he was going to be out, we'd want another kicker. I mean, I feel comfortable that Justin could come in, but you want a real kicker in that situation.
You're expecting Butker to kick on Sunday.
Yes, he's, yeah.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, I apologize, Coach. On that subject, is he good enough to, I know.
He's good enough to get it. He's good enough to get us through a game. He's good enough to get us through a game. He can make an extra point. He's a long range.
If you wanted to be a kicker.
If you wanted to be a kicker, in the NFL level, I don't think he could do it. I mean, I love him. I love him, but he'll understand why I'm saying that. He's a good safety.
20 degrees.
Got everybody we need? All right, we're on to another challenge, another division game, right? Team we just played, so that makes it a little bit familiar. And with that, I'll open it up. We got the T-shirts, the all juice teams on today. You guys must have called each other this morning. What are we wearing? I'll open it up. What do you guys got?
Nick, you've already played a little bit without Nick.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
It's just, we know you love him.
Yeah.
But how Drew can maybe sit in here again and jump in. Is it better knowing, like when you left during the game, it's one thing to kind of quick change, but now
Yeah.
you got a week to get ready for it?
Well, I mean, the point you're making about the fact that we've played a couple of games, I want to say it's a total of 3, right, without Nick so far, and Drew's been in there, and the guys have felt Drew in front of the huddle, and, all week long, obviously. I think there's a comfort level with the other 10 with Drew in there now, having done it. I think they felt that way when Nick went down the first time, but it's nice to know we have a guy that can fit in there and not skip a beat. And I mean, I said this before, I never felt like we had to cut things back when Drew took over in those 3 games Nick was gone, and feel the same way now, so hopefully we can keep tracking upward.
Those kind of top 4, with Leo, Willie, Nick, and Drew,
Yeah.
they've been your rotation. Do you see Jack and Cole and maybe even Cam Jones getting in the soon?
Well, Cole's not on 53 now, when you think of Cole Christian, but Jack certainly. Listen, we got a lot of faith in Jack, and when Nick was out before, Jack was in a rotation of a package, let's say, and we've got no problem doing the same thing. All those guys have played good enough football, I think, to this point where they all merit some play time. So we'll just see how the game goes and what the situations are and whether that happens or not.
Steve, you gotta play the Broncos twice anyway, but are there different challenges when you play them twice in 3 weeks? Or is it any different than if you got 2 months in between?
Well, I mean, the one thing with 2 months is there's a chunk of different film, and maybe the unit you're going against has changed. They've had injuries, and with 1 game in between, it looks similar. I mean, they played really well against Green Bay. They ran the ball really well. I mean, I think they're running the ball really good now, with those 2 backs especially. Maybe the one thing we feel is the the individual staff meetings that we have situationally, you know, at one point you're doing first and second down, then you're doing third down, they seem to go a little quicker, because it was 2 weeks ago and there's only one new film in there in our own. So from that regard, maybe I get home a half hour earlier tonight. I mean, hey, we try to do that anyway.
How pleased were you with Charles when he was able to do
Yeah.
his first look?
It's nice to have a guy back there with that length. That was a huge play that he made. It was a third down in the red zone, right? 4-point play. It turned into a 7-point play because we picked it off. But no, he was some juice for us, and hopefully each week we can stack some more things on there for him. But it was nice to see him come in 1 week and just get plugged in and make some plays. I was happy for him.
Steve, what is sort of the art of batting down passes? I mean, some of the stuff seems obvious, but I wonder if there's more to it.
With our guys?
Yeah, just the art of batting down.
Yeah, listen, a lot of that I think is innate. I think we got some guys that innately, you know, get their hands on. We got a couple of guys with some length. You know, Giles and Chris, obviously, God gave them appendages that are going to help them do it. But like even if I'm not mistaken, I think Derek has one this year, and that's just because he gets it up at the right time. George certainly has a great timing for it. Mike Dana has gotten some inside. I think our guys have a real good knack for it. I mean, we preach it. Certainly when we're playing certain size quarterbacks, it becomes more of an emphasis. But a lot of what we look at is where quarterbacks are releasing the football. You know, they're not up over the top. And situationally, like, you know, our guys, you get in the red zone, you should think more about it because of where the ball's going. 3rd and 2, 3, 4, you know, they think a little bit more about it. So our guys have been good at embracing that.
That tip pass that Charles had came in that look that you're finally able to get on the field with Chris and George outside and Mike and Charles inside.
Yeah.
It's kind of a third down package.
Yeah.
What's special kind of about that group? You know, especially for you've had looks like that all
Yeah.
throughout your career.
Yeah, what's really good about that, I mean, all 4 of those guys, George doesn't go inside as much, but all 4 of those guys can go inside. All 4 of them can go outside. That's the luxury. And the pressure you put on them is to mentally know, as a player, all 4 of those spots, as opposed to, you know, you're the right end, you're the left end, you're the right tackle, you're the left tackle, here are the calls, know that spot. These guys have done a good job at knowing. And so if Chris wants to get on a guard, you know, then somebody that's going out on a tackle knows how to do it. So that's pretty important. And so that's the intelligence of those guys that I would give a little bit of credit to.
What's the benefits of having that, besides just the matchup, get maybe a matchup you want? What's the benefit of having guys?
That matchup's one of the bigger ones. And teams not getting the beat on where somebody's going to be. I mean, let's face it. Most teams that we play are going to try to find a way to get 4 hands on Chris and not 2. You know, and if they knew he was always going to be the right tackle, it'd be a little bit easier. But not knowing where he is, they've got to do some things. Like they may have to move something. You know, bring the tight end over here. So hopefully it gives them a little bit more thinking.
Well, go back to the strategy of you and Joe figuring out the matchup of offensive lineman X and like frequency and that going
Yeah.
into the week.
Most of that, we rely on the players. Listen, our guys do a good job of studying the film. Chris is always looking at tape and looking for what he thinks might be his best match. Mike Danner grinds tape, all those guys, George. And they get together with Joe and figure out situationally what we should do or shouldn't do and where our best matchup might be. And once they get the calls from what we're putting in, then decide where we want people in those particular calls.
Aside from your time in New York, is this kind of one of your most fun, like, long limbs, strong package, you know?
Toys.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, it's the way the guys have been operating. And when you're saying that, I think you were all leaning toward the conversation with the linemen. But I just think that the combination of the linemen we have with the linebackers makes a big difference. I'm not sure we've had the luxury of the linebacker speed that we have right now. I'd have to go back and think of all the defenses we've had here, the people and other places, but that's a little bit of a luxury. But I keep going back to that front group, linebacker, D-line that we're working with, to the fact that they can all operate in multiple calls, and that's a credit to them and how they work during the week and preparing and their football intelligence, what I call football get it. We've got a lot of guys with football get it, and we've been 5 years in the system, so there's continuity. That helps. All that is kind of packaged together. My hope is that we can just keep doing it. I mean, we got to stay healthy. I know we got Nick's banged up now, but we got a whole stretch here to go. It's early, right? I'm glad it's gone the way it has, but we're just kind of looking to the next one. We're just trying to hope to play our best game this coming week, and then after that, play a better game than whatever that was.
Coach, you mentioned Michael Dana and, film study, but he's on pace for 11 sacks. I know they kind of come in bunches.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going to definitely get to that number, but is there anything that in particular he worked on in the offseason that he's really improved at this year?
When he came back here right from the beginning, I thought he was more powerful, and he trained. If you talk to him, I know he trained exceptionally hard in this offseason. He looked different to me when he came back, and he was kind of on a mission, and he's been on a mission, and that's what I love about Mike. Mike's I hope people talk more and more about him. He's been a real valuable asset for us. I always tell him he's got natural leverage, and in this game it's all about leverage, and he's really powerful from the waist down. He's a good football player.
A couple more, go ahead, Nate.
Steve, what did you anticipate when you guys acquired Mike Edwards, and what has he shown you through 7 games that maybe is what you expected, or slightly different from what you expected?
The pro personnel department, I remember talking to Mike Borganzi and and Veach and his crew. And I didn't know a lot about Mike at the time, then did the film study, and they were really high on him. And he is a natural, gifted, intelligent football player. And the greatest thing about Mike is he accepts his role and is passionate about it. Like, he's not a starter, but he kind of is. We're getting him in there, and he's earned that. He's earned the respect of the players. He's got some natural instincts. He sees the game really, really well. Like, some guys see the game through a straw. You can only give them certain things, right? But Mike sees the whole thing. He's been around enough defenses to understand football. He's played in the league, so he knows offenses. But he's been a real luxury. I'm glad we got him. Him and Drew and new guys that are in there that the system's new. They've just kind of just pieced right in. Charles hopefully will do the same thing, and we keep rolling.
Last one. You're off the
See you warm out.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Charles. They spell it.
I don't know if there's an outlet.
Yeah, Charles.
Don't tell anybody how to do it.
How's everybody doing? Good. Awesome. Fire away.
Kelsey and Mahomes have been together for a while and done some good things, but what's happened the last, 3 games, it seems kind of remarkable. What's going on with those two? Is there something you see between the two of them recently?
Yeah, we've seen here for many years Kelsey's growth in this offense, and then his relationship with Pat's growth, and then you put it all together. And I would probably peg it as the biggest thing is going into this year trying to figure out how our team's going to try to play the Kansas City Chiefs 2023 offense. And it takes a little bit of time for us and for the players to kind of adjust. Is there going to be a lot of man? Is there going to be a lot of zone? And then how do you work versus that? And so I think we all know that man and zone with Kelsey and Patrick, they link up together. They know how to work. So if you're going to play a lot of zone, Kelsey knows how to find areas. If you're going to play a lot of man, he knows how to win versus man. You're just seeing a little bit more of that connection. Also, where Pat might push up out of the pocket, have a scramble, and still, there's just a couple plays where you see where you just shake your head where, it's the first part of the play, the second part, and third part, and all of a sudden out of nowhere, they just connect, and he finds them. And so you're probably just seeing more of that now. I also think, too, Adam, that it's partly also that these other wide receivers are growing, and now teams are seeing that, and they know they got to understand, they got to know where they're at, too. And so that helps open Kelsey up, knowing that. So I think it's kind of a combination.
Matt, how many plays in the playbook actually identify Kelsey as the primary target? From a percentage-wise, if you had to guess.
Yeah, it probably changes slightly every week, but it's that's a great question. I don't know if I know an exact percent. I could just say it's a lot. It's a lot. So That hasn't changed like this year. That's been forever, that it's a lot. And then it's just a matter of how much of a lot does he get in that game versus, for instance, you have a game, you have certain games where he has, not a lot of catches, but a lot of touchdowns, right? Or he has a couple catches for a lot of yards. But one thing he has done is he catches footballs every game, and that's a part of who we are. We know that. There's that trust that those two have together that gets better and better every week, every game. The younger guys see that. The guys that come in here see that. We just are always careful with those other receivers that they make sure that they try not to come in here and do what Kelsey does, because what Kelsey does is rare and special, just like Patrick, and you put two rare and special guys together, it's fun. And so you just got to be able to make sure that these guys come in here and they stay within the system. As far as, you still don't want to lose their personality and their creativity, but Kelsey built to this, and Patrick built to this relationship with him, and now they're at a high level right now that they're doing, and it makes it difficult for man or zone.
With that in mind, how significant has it been that Rashid's really taken a set of the second and third read and been open for Pat?
It's a really big part of it. It really is. And it's not just Rashid. I mean, Rashid's had some nice catches, and he's made some explosive plays. But, I mean, even like last week, you look on some breakdown and scrambles with Quez, getting open. And these guys are learning. Patrick is a guy that when he breaks the pocket, you better be running. You better not be standing around thinking you're not going to get the football, because some quarterbacks scramble and you cut the field in half and that's all you get. With Patrick, the whole field's open. So he can do whatever, whenever, however, when he wants on the scrambles, and good plays happen, and that helps. But these other receivers are doing a great job right now of really working together as a unit, as one, and Coach is doing such a great job at really putting these guys in great positions.
As a coach, how uncomfortable does it maybe make you sometimes when, like, maybe you wouldn't have told another quarterback, hey, you can throw across the field now, but with Pat, you sort of have to change?
Yeah, you get some guys that sometimes think in their brain that they maybe might be able to make some of these throws, and then you get there and you say, no, you can't. You can't. You can try, but it's hard. And it's just, again, it's something that Pat has, but you got to be careful with that, because there are some guys that can do it and are able to do it. So it's a fun trait that he has that's advantaged Chiefs because of him. And this isn't, I mean, he's been doing this for a long, long time. And now it's having the other guys understand what Pat does, and then it's having the other guys understand, just as rare as he is at that position, Kelsey is as rare at the tight end position.
Has his arm changed at all, stronger, anything like that since you saw him, back in 17?
No, I mean, every now and then, I think it's more being facetious. Pat will say his arm's a little weaker. I don't believe it. I've seen him chuck that thing 80 yards. So recently. So, I mean, that his arm's not getting any weaker. I think he sometimes says that to almost like make somebody tell somebody else that his arm's getting weaker, so that you think that, and then he just gashes you over the top. So his arm is not getting any weaker.
Matt, you mentioned the growth of some of the other receivers. With Rashid, I'm sure there's multiple areas, but is the main one just his ability to sort of read what teams are trying to do to him?
No, I don't think it's that right now. I think what it is if you go back to training camp, it was hard for him, like any normal receiver that comes in, it's difficult and not easy to get lined up and know where to go and what to do within the play. Right now, that part's getting easier for him. So when he breaks the huddle, he knows exactly where to line up. He's looking across at the defense, and he has an idea of what the coverage might be, and now he can adjust his route accordingly. That allows him, we all talked about the drops early on with him early in the season, and when you're thinking about the details of the play or the route, sometimes you lose the natural ability that you have all your life to catch the football. Obviously, you're seeing that come back, and it's getting better and better, and that's a credit to him, because his confidence is growing in a good way. He knows he's got a ways to go, but you can see in practice when he breaks the huddle, there's not so much where you run out to the left and got to run back to the right because you went to the wrong side, or your split's a little off. You see less of that. So when you get in the game, you're running, you're at the spot you need to be, and when the quarterback sees that, there's trust. And the more and more trust you have between a quarterback and wide receiver, tight end, running back, the more successful you're going to be. And I think you're slowly starting to see that with this offense. It takes a little time. And, you know, you go through the series, every game, there's highs and lows. We just had a good one offensively. We got to stack it. We got to do it again.
Couple
Coach, I asked Coach Reed about, you know, back in the day, Tony Gonzalez would get champion league on him or something. He said they did a little bit of that with Denver, with Patrick Surtain. Are you surprised you don't get more of that with the way he plays?
We do see that, and you see guys put their best guy on our guys every year, whoever that is. A lot of times it's obviously Kelsey. But the coordinators also, it kind of breaks what they want to do sometimes, depending on the down and distance, how they want to play it, and it puts a guy that might always be on the left or right or on the outside versus inside in a different spot, and sometimes there's tells with that. But, you know, I think for the biggest thing is with us being able to understand that we're always going to get that, is how do you kind of counter that with what we want to do every week, how it's different. And so, like, whether you play man or zone against Kels or whoever the wide receiver is for any team, coordinators and coaches always usually try to have some type of plan, and then you just kind of, and then the other part too is adjusting within the game. You got to be able to adjust.
Last one.
Now, what do you feel like you're at with your run game right now?
Yeah, I think it's growing. It's not where we want it to be yet. We know that, but I kind of look at it like our offense in general. It's growing, and it's not 100% where we want it to be, but we know that it's, you know, we got the players, we know we have the scheme. It's just putting it together, and some game you might come out and run the ball way more than passing it, or vice versa. So we're not frustrated at all. We understand we got to keep working on it and understand whatever we need to do to get better there to help out, you know, the run and pass, we'll do it.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
All right, take care. No problem.
Trey.
When you play a team as close together as you guys are facing the Broncos when you played before, is it good, bad, different? What do you think about playing this close in the season?
Yeah, you know, it's a challenge, especially when you face an opponent in a short time frame like we're doing. Just being an AFC West opponent, someone we're familiar with, but it's definitely a challenge when you go up against a guy, you know, he knows your tendencies now, you know pretty much what he's doing, tendency-wise as well. But, you know, ultimately we just got to be prepared when we face him.
You ever have a moment, like, watching the games, like fans will watch the game like you had against the Chargers, and the question that everybody's saying in bars and living rooms is, why do they cover Kelsey? Is there ever a moment where you guys are like, have a little chuckle, have time to kind of realize how, like, he should be the smart man, yet still every Sunday he goes out there and it seems like it's just, they're having a catch out the yard or something?
Yeah, I think most of the league is asking that question. A lot of times you watch him, I mean, when you watch Trav work, I mean, it's incredible a lot of times how open he is, his knowledge for the game, to put him in position to be that open and to manipulate defenders and defensive scheme, to let him have the ability to do what he does best. I mean, he's been one of the best tight ends he stepped in the league. So it's honestly so much fun to watch. But, you know, at the end of the day, like you said, I mean, he should be targeted, man. I mean, he's one of the best to do it.
Trey, where would you say as a whole the running game is right now for you guys?
Yeah, you know, ultimately we just have to be better in the run game. Just got to keep striving at it. You got to keep working and do what our coaches tell us to do.
We talked to Isaiah this week, and he said that he believes you really love the counter, and he always feels bad for the cornerback crashing down. When you see that play coming, what goes through your head?
Destroy what I see. You know, just pull as fast, as much speed as I can, you know, and just lay down the wood. But ultimately, it's really just more being measured in everything I do, and just whatever it takes to play to go and be successful, I do it.
Looks like it's going to be a little chilly out there, maybe the greatest weather. You've been in the league long enough. You've played some cold weather games. You like that weather when you're in the trenches?
Yeah, you know, cold weather's big guy weather, and I prefer it. You know, you can play and sustain a lot longer, especially in longer drives, and you feel better when you get the juices flowing and pumping. But to me, I've always preferred cold weather over like hot, warm weather. But at the end of the day, however cold, however hot it is, put that ball down, let's play.
That game in Jacksonville a few weeks ago, was that difficult given the heat down there
Yeah, I think
for you?
it goes into the mentality aspect. You have to always be prepared for whatever you face. The elements are always going to be a factor. You can't let the elements stop you from doing what you're supposed to do out there. And, when it's heat, you just got to be mentally tough. You got to keep thinking about, okay, what do I need to do to make my job successful and be great for this team?
You played a team that had some struggles early on, and their record's not what they want it to be, but they've held their last two opponents under 20 points. What do you see, including the Chiefs? What have you seen with them where they've gotten better here in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, talking about the Broncos again being an AFC West opponent. Once again, we know them, they know us, but they take a lot of pride in their defensive unit, and they've been playing some really good ball. And at the end of the day, the NFL is the NFL. Everyone's good, everyone's great. The margin for winning and losing is extremely small, and like I said, they've been playing really good ball, and we just have to play better ball at the end of the day and just be successful.
Trey, you had your high school jersey retired a few weeks ago. What did that experience mean to you?
Yeah, it's special. Being a USA Bruin, obviously I got my first start playing football at the University School of Jackson. It was really a special moment to go back home, see people you love, people that were instrumental in your development in your life, and enjoying that moment with family. It's something I'll never forget. Truly honored to have my jersey retired in my high school, and it's really proud of the moment, but just super thankful.
Couple more.
Are you much of a trash talker?
Nah. People who are trying to be great at the game we don't have time to talk trash on the field. I'm trying to save my breath so I can keep going.
Are the Broncos trash talkers?
No, I mean, hey, you have trash talkers on every team. Every player is sort of different, and it's a good rivalry game. Some words might be muttered, but at the end of the day, we just focus on putting that ball down and putting our face mask on the opponent.
Trey, I want to ask you about one of your plays after a couple of plays after the Pacheco run there when you were past that and then you got the defender on the ground and you kind of stepped over him and then fell back. What was going on there?
I got him on the ground, just sort of got him off balance, and I think I had a costly hold earlier on. It's just like, whatever I do, just don't get another hold. And at that point, he was out of position. I'm like, yeah, I could just fall on this guy. So just try to fall on him, not get the hold, basically. But it was sort of a goofy play. I guess it's gone viral. But
Great. Thanks, guys.
appreciate it, guys. Thank you.